Meghan Markle's past has come roaring back. Allegations linking her to Prince Andrew's infamous yacht days are resurfacing, and the fallout is brutal. Silence from Montecito, shock inside the palace, and whispers of shame now dominate the story. This isn't rumor anymore. It's a reckoning. Meghan Markle in shame. Yacht days with Prince Andrew surface again. It started with a whisper. Then came the bombshell heard through Buckingham. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, has shattered royal silence by claiming Meghan Markle had a direct past link to Prince Andrew's private yacht gatherings. In one offhand remark during a dinner with aristocratic guests in Gloucestershire, Fergie allegedly dropped the line. She wasn't just a guest. Meghan was Andrew's first client. Within hours, the ripple turned tidal. The phrase "first client" wasn't lost on royal and intelligence circles. It wasn't business code, it was insinuation. The kind tied to Andrew's infamous Mediterranean yacht seasons, events known for hosting actresses, billionaires, diplomats, and fixers, all in the same floating orbit. This revelation pulled Meghan into the orbit of Andrew's most controversial years, 2010 to 2012, a time when his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein raised global alarm and royal shame. The allegation is not a random strike. According to palace aides, Ferguson's knowledge of Andrew's guest lists runs deep. She was the gatekeeper, even during their divorce, quietly managing his optics and relationships. For her to claim Meghan had a functional presence, not just a visitor, but someone with a role, carries weight. It paints a picture not of coincidence, but calculated access. A young actress, living beyond her public means, placed aboard yachts with powerful men during critical years of royal embarrassment. Prince Harry was reportedly blindsided. Sources close to Montecito said the news came not from the press, but directly from Fergie. One insider described Harry's reaction as cold silence followed by a total shutdown. He allegedly canceled 2 scheduled meetings, disconnected from staff, and locked himself in his study for over 24 hours. For a man who walked away from royal life to protect his wife, this wasn't just betrayal. It was collapse. And then there's Meghan. Silent. No press statement, no legal team activation, no media counters. For a woman who once fought tabloids in court and reshaped PR strategy around her own image, this silence is deafening. Some say it's strategy. Others see it as tactical retreat, or worse, guilt with no defense. This isn't just a scandal resurfacing, it's a narrative collapse. A carefully crafted image of empowerment, privacy, and philanthropy, now stained by the shadows of a yacht, a disgraced duke, and a single word spoken too late. Client. Sarah Ferguson's claim. Revenge or revelation? The royal world didn't know what to make of it. Was Sarah Ferguson exposing a hidden truth or playing a dangerous game of royal chess? Her claim that Meghan Markle had ties to Prince Andrew's yacht days wasn't just unexpected. It was explosive. And for a woman long exiled from the inner circle, the timing was suspiciously perfect. Fergie's own return to royal grace in 2023 was seen as a soft comeback, orchestrated by King Charles, a careful rehabilitation after years of scandal. So why, just when she regained quiet acceptance, would she drop Meghan into the storm? Some insiders say it was a calculated move, personal payback wrapped in public revelation. Behind palace walls, Ferguson had long held resentment over Meghan's swift popularity and polished media machine. Compared to Fergie's own rise and fall in the 90s, Meghan's glossy global appeal was a reminder of the kind of spotlight Sarah never controlled. But there's another theory: damage control. By steering the scandal narrative back toward Meghan, Fergie may have done more than speak truth. She may have shielded Prince Andrew, whose post-Epstein reputation remains radioactive. Royal staff suspect her comment redirected press attention away from Andrew's remaining legal exposure, effectively sacrificing Meghan to preserve what's left of the Windsor image. As for public reaction, it's deeply split. Some see Fergie as a bitter opportunist, exploiting old whispers to stay relevant. Others, especially older royal watchers, see her as finally telling the truth. "She's been through enough to know where the bodies are buried," one former royal aide said. "She's not guessing. She's remembering." This isn't the first time Ferguson has used public confession as leverage. In the past, she's admitted to financial mistakes, foreign dealings, and private failures, all to reset her image. This latest revelation may be just another page from her playbook. But this time, the target isn't herself. It's Meghan Markle. And this time, the stakes are royal legacy. Whatever her motive, the fire has been lit. Meghan's past, once sealed behind luxury PR, has been dragged back into daylight. And the question hanging over everything now: was Fergie settling a score, or just finally telling the story no one else dared to say aloud?
The yacht circuit. What really happened aboard?
What once seemed like glamorous summers now look like strategic placements. The Mediterranean yacht circuit, especially those tied to Prince Andrew's inner circle, were more than just leisure events. They were closed-door gatherings of international power, oil wealth, foreign diplomats, actresses, and royalty. And according to Ferguson's bombshell, Meghan Markle didn't just attend. She played a functional role. What does that mean exactly? Insiders explain that during these yacht seasons, particularly 2010 to 2012, a handful of women were selected not just for beauty, but for positioning. Some were companions. Others were influencers, quietly shaping narratives and collecting favor. Meghan, Fergie claimed, was not an accidental guest. She was curated. Guest lists leaked from past events in Antibes, Sardinia, and Monaco show Meghan's name listed next to Gulf investors, private equity moguls, and even former ministers. While it doesn't prove illegal activity, it challenges the clean-cut image she later presented as a struggling actress and outsider. The events were connected to Andrew's wealthy contacts, many of whom later appeared in Epstein's Black Book or were flagged by intelligence agencies for soft power operations. What makes the timing worse? These yacht seasons occurred right as Meghan was cultivating her public image in Hollywood, with minimal acting income, but luxury travel and access that couldn't be explained. "She lived like royalty before she ever met royalty," one observer noted. And now, in hindsight, these details raise deeper questions. Was Meghan navigating high society for opportunity, or was she already backed by shadow patrons guiding her rise? Adding a darker dimension is the Epstein connection. Though no photos publicly place Meghan alongside Epstein, his network and Andrew's yacht scene were often intertwined. Several men who appeared at those gatherings later faced investigation for trafficking, fraud, and manipulation. And while Prince Andrew has refused to speak, his silence speaks volumes. No denial, no clarification, just a void where the truth should be. And with Sarah Ferguson's claim now public, that void grows louder every day. What happened aboard those yachts may never be fully known. But the resurfacing of Meghan's alleged role aboard them marks more than a personal scandal. It marks a collapse of credibility and a reopening of doors the Sussexes hoped were permanently closed. The link to Prince Andrew, a dangerous association, reopened. Once Prince Andrew's name re-enters a story, everything around it darkens. His reputation never recovered from the Epstein scandal, and within royal circles, he is treated as a toxic liability. That is why Sarah Ferguson's claim hit with such force. By linking Meghan Markle to Andrew's yacht era, she didn't just revive gossip, she reopened a wound the monarchy tried desperately to cauterize. According to Ferguson, Meghan's first contact with Andrew predated Prince Harry by years, placing their alleged interaction during the height of Andrew's Mediterranean yacht circuit. That timing matters. Those years, roughly 2010 to 2012, were when Andrew was most deeply embedded in elite offshore circles that mixed wealth, politics, and secrecy. To be linked to him from that period is to be linked to the very core of his disgrace. What has fueled the speculation further are reports of unpublished photographs. Several royal journalists claim images exist, showing Meghan in close proximity to Andrew during private luxury events in Antibes and Sardinia. None have been released publicly, but their existence alone has reignited questions the palace hoped would never be asked again. For Meghan, the danger isn't just reputational, it's structural. Any renewed association with Andrew drags her into a narrative defined by exploitation, secrecy, and institutional failure. For Prince Harry, it's even worse. It reframes his marriage not as rebellion, but as blindness. One royal insider put it bluntly, "Andrew is the one man you never want your wife linked to, ever." And yet, Andrew himself has said nothing. No denial, no clarification, no outrage. His legal advisors have reportedly instructed him to remain silent, fearing that any comment could reopen dormant investigations. In royal life, silence often signals strategy, but sometimes it signals fear. As this association resurfaces, the consequences ripple outward. Meghan's carefully managed distance from Andrew now appears retroactive, not intentional. And that raises the question no one wants to ask out loud. Was the palace cold toward her from the beginning because it already knew more than it said? Meghan's reinvention at risk, the fall of a curated image. For years, Meghan Markle controlled her story with precision. Actress turned duchess, outsider turned reformer, victim turned advocate. But the resurfacing of her alleged yacht connections threatens to invert that narrative entirely. The media pivot has been swift and brutal. Headlines now frame her not as an oppressed royal, but as a social climber with privileged access long before Harry entered her life. The contrast is stark. The woman who spoke about struggle and marginalization is now being linked to yachts, billionaires, and elite gatekeepers. Inside Hollywood, the shift is noticeable. Sources say Netflix executives have grown cautious, while partners connected to Archewell are reassessing brand risk. Not because of proven wrongdoing, but because credibility is currency, and it's leaking fast. The brand was authenticity, one media consultant said. Once that cracks, everything shakes. Within palace walls, whispers have returned. Some senior royals reportedly feel vindicated, believing this explains the early resistance Meghan faced. Not racism, not jealousy, but concern. Concern that her past didn't align with the transparency the monarchy requires, even when it pretends not to. Now Meghan stands at a crossroads. She can fight, demand proof, challenge motives, and risk deeper exposure. Or she can stay silent and hope the story exhausts itself. But silence, in this case, carries its own cost, because absence invites speculation, and speculation hardens into belief. This isn't just about reputation anymore. It's about whether Meghan's reinvention was genuine, or simply the most successful rebrand of the modern royal era. Harry's loyalty tested, between love and legacy. No one is caught more painfully in this storm than Prince Harry. For years, he has defined himself by one unshakable principle: protect Meghan at all costs. He gave up titles, proximity, and family bonds to stand beside her. But this revelation tests that loyalty in a way no tabloid ever could. According to sources close to him, Harry is emotionally unraveling. The idea that Meghan may have had deep connections to the very figures he despised, Andrew included, has left him questioning not just her past, but his own judgment. He's asking himself what he didn't know, one friend said, and why no one told him sooner. The fracture extends beyond marriage. Prince William and King Charles are reportedly furious, not because of scandal alone, but because of omission. From their perspective, Harry wasn't just misled by the press. He may have been misled by the person he trusted most. Public perception has shifted accordingly. Sympathy for Harry is growing, not as a rebellious prince, but as a man who may have been emotionally outmatched. A husband who believed in love, only to discover the past he defended might not have been fully disclosed. And yet, Harry remains silent. No statements, no appearances, no counterattack. That silence suggests internal conflict rather than strategy. Because, for the first time, Harry's two loyalties, to his wife and to his lineage, are no longer aligned. The question now isn't whether Harry will defend Meghan. It's whether he can continue to do so without losing himself, and what little remains of his place in the family he once walked away from. The monarchy reacts. Crisis protocol activated. When Sarah Ferguson's revelation hit headlines like a crack of thunder over royal rooftops, Clarence House didn't hesitate. The monarchy moved with the kind of silent urgency that only centuries of crisis management could produce. According to senior royal insiders, within 4 hours, a confidential meeting was held involving top aides, GCHQ cybersecurity analysts, and senior MI5 liaisons. The phrase used behind closed doors was chilling. Containment directive is now active. This wasn't about scandal control in the traditional sense. It was about institutional self-preservation. The palace knew this was different. The names involved, Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew, carried global media weight, unresolved legal baggage, and foreign entanglements. Together, they represented a convergence of reputational hazards too volatile to ignore. Internal memos reportedly circulated with coded directives. Staff were to blacklist all press requests referencing yacht, guest lists, Middle East ties, or any mention of Sarah Ferguson's quotes. Public statements were frozen, and the usual strategy of feeding subtle counter-narratives to friendly journalists was scrapped. The instruction was clear: go dark, stay dark. What rattled King Charles III most wasn't just the nature of the claim, it was the timing. He had only just returned from a major UN ethics summit, where he spoke about transparency, sustainability, and reform in global leadership. The contradiction between his public message and the private scandal threatening to consume the palace was not lost on those around him. One courtier reported the king's private words: "I cannot carry another scandal. Not now. Not on my watch." Across Westminster, members of Parliament began stirring. A few independent MPs and backbenchers raised formal concerns over whether royal engagements, specifically those involving foreign hospitality and undeclared gifts, had ever crossed into the territory of national security threats. It wasn't long before the phrase yacht inquiry began circulating in parliamentary halls, quietly at first, but gaining traction with every unanswered question. For the monarchy, this was now a war of narrative survival, not criminal defense. Whether or not laws were broken mattered less than public perception. In the court of public opinion, guilt is decided by optics, silence, and association. And the image of a duchess and a disgraced duke being swept up in overlapping whispers of foreign influence was enough to set alarm bells ringing in every royal department. The institutional response was swift and surgical. Meghan and Andrew's names were removed from event planning memos. Invitations were withdrawn. Internal communications were revised. Public-facing engagements were reevaluated, and firewalls, both media and administrative, were thrown up around senior working royals to insulate them from any proximity fallout. Privately, aides have begun referring to the current moment as a containment rehearsal, a dry run for how the monarchy would handle a catastrophic reputational implosion. What happens next, they say, will depend less on what is true, and more on what surfaces next. Because in royal history, truth rarely breaks the institution. But narrative loss, that's what shatters crowns. And this time, the flame licking at the gates isn't coming from an enemy. It's coming from within. Meghan's silence. Tactical strategy or hidden shame. Meghan Markle, once known for speaking out swiftly and decisively, has gone completely silent. No interviews, no denials, no legal threats. For a woman who famously sued tabloids over false narratives, her stillness now feels louder than any press release. Some insiders argue that this is pure strategy. Meghan is waiting for the news cycle to shift, avoiding adding fuel to a story that, in her mind, may burn itself out. She's reportedly in lockdown mode, communicating only with her inner circle and refusing to brief even her own extended PR network. One aide described it as watch, wait, vanish. But others sense something different, a loss of control. Her trusted media machinery isn't spinning. Allies are quiet. Even Marcus Anderson, her longtime Soho House confidant, hasn't been seen or heard from in weeks. It feels less like strategy and more like retreat. There's also the legal risk. If Meghan does issue a public denial, she opens the door to deeper investigation and possibly subpoenas. If photos exist, or if guest lists are leaked, a legal stance could backfire catastrophically. Silence may be her only shield. Yet, that silence has consequences. Public trust, already fragile, continues to fade. The more she hides, the more people assume guilt. In the eyes of many, her absence from this moment looks like shame. Meghan once had the loudest voice in the royal narrative, but now, in this scandal, she's a ghost, present in every headline, yet invisible in response. And as the days pass without a word, the silence itself becomes the story. Public opinion divided. Heroine or hypocrite? The media landscape has erupted. Across the UK and the US, headlines scream conflicting narratives. Is Meghan Markle a victim of royal jealousy or a hypocrite hiding a scandalous past? The public can't agree, and that split has never been more visible. British tabloids have leaned in hard, resurrecting old stories of Meghan's pre-royal lifestyle, financial inconsistencies, and vague travel records. The word #Yachtgate has taken off on X, formerly Twitter, with threads dissecting guest lists, flight logs, and photos from the early 2000s. Meanwhile, U.S. outlets like People and Vanity Fair have adopted a cautious tone. No confirmation, Ferguson's credibility unclear, and ongoing developments. The generational divide is stark. Voters over 35 in the UK now overwhelmingly side with Sarah Ferguson, viewing her as a weathered truth-teller. Her own redemption arc, marred by scandal, now seasoned with humility, has earned her renewed sympathy. A recent poll showed 71% of royal watchers trust Fergie's account over Meghan's silence. On social media, however, battle lines are clear. Supporters of Meghan say she's being unfairly smeared, targeted by an institution that never accepted her. Others say the lack of transparency proves she crafted a false image, one that's now crumbling under weight of truth. Hollywood is watching too. Streaming execs and podcast sponsors are quietly discussing risk. Meghan's commercial appeal, once her strongest asset, is showing signs of erosion. And without a clear counter-narrative, the court of public opinion may issue its own verdict. This isn't just a scandal. It's a turning point. For years, Meghan built her brand on integrity, empowerment, and authenticity. Now, many wonder, was it real or just brilliantly marketed fiction? A dangerous precedent. Will Meghan survive this scandal? This isn't just another media firestorm. For Meghan Markle, it may be the defining moment of her post-royal life, and possibly the one she never walks back from. What began as a single sentence from Sarah Ferguson has now spiraled into a full-blown credibility collapse. Meghan, who for years built a global identity around empowerment, integrity, and speaking her truth, is now facing a reversal of public belief. The narrative she so carefully curated, a woman wronged by the institution, is now being tested against a resurfacing past that paints her as calculated, embedded, and strategically placed. For the monarchy, this moment is precedent-setting. Never before has a senior royal been tied so publicly to two disgraced figures at once, Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein, even indirectly. And while no one is accusing Meghan of criminal conduct, the appearance of association alone has triggered an internal royal protocol review. Inside palace circles, discussions are turning grim. One source claims there is growing appetite among some senior advisors to formally review Harry and Meghan's titles if any more evidence or testimony surfaces. "We're not there yet," a source close to King Charles said. "But if more comes out, silence won't save them." That silence, so far Meghan's main defense, may be the only thing holding back a constitutional escalation. Because if a line is crossed, the crown could act. And while stripping titles is rare, it is not without precedent. Especially if the reputation of the House of Windsor is seen to be in active danger. Beyond royalty, Meghan's brand stands at a cliff edge. Her power has always relied on two things: control of her narrative and the support of elite allies. Now both are visibly slipping. Streaming deals are being re-evaluated. Her Hollywood network has gone quiet, and her PR team, known for speed, is unusually restrained. One entertainment insider warned, "If she doesn't regain the story soon, the industry will walk away." And so the question remains, is this Meghan's final chapter in the royal narrative, or the start of a much darker reinvention? Because scandal in the royal family never just ends. It either rewrites history or erases you from it. The silence may buy her time, but not forever. In the public arena, time without answers becomes judgment, and judgment becomes legacy. Right now, Meghan is still holding her place in that story, but just barely. One more revelation, one more photo, one more voice confirming what's already been implied. And that legacy may not be hers to shape anymore. As the yacht allegations resurface, Meghan's carefully built image stands exposed and fragile. Whether this storm fades or explodes depends on what comes next. Evidence, silence, or denial. One thing is certain. The past she tried to outrun has caught up, and the world is watching every move.